Hello world, and welcome to Snap Together Saturday. Once again, I am doing a Gundam build. Maybe not my last one, but I don't know, who knows. But, as you saw, the Gundam Calibarn. It is the third mobile suit, well, I guess, I don't know. Second, third, depends how you count. Mobile version of, well, I guess, third mobile suit piloted by Suletta. Not counting the demi barding she piloted just for, like, class stuff. Anyway, it's Suletta's final suit. After the aerial and the aerial rebuild, she takes, stuff happens, so she gets a hold of the Calibarn, which is this, and it is beautiful. So, we're going to do this, and that'll be our build tonight. Also, I'm going to be building the action base number 6. First, just to get that out of the way, off to the side here I have, you can't see them, but I have the aerial and the aerial rebuild. I'll be bringing them in for comparative purposes at the end. Or not. This might be a 2-night build. We will just have to see how it goes. No, time, I promise. Alright, let's get into it. Change my view here. Here's the box. It's got a lovely illustration of Calibarn on it. It's stark white with the rainbow scope permit. The rifle with the end looks kind of like a broomstick, befitting the Witch title. On the bottom we have various illustrations. It comes with a stand, so that's nice to pose it, because it's only deployed in space. So, yeah. Excuse me. There's a nice close-up of it. The rainbow permit and the antenna, that's beautiful. Some much more creative people than I have found ways to put LEDs in this so that they can change what permit is displayed. Maybe one day I'll learn that trick, I doubt it, but it is technically possible. I've got a flight pose with a single beam saber, an action pose shooting the gun, gunning rain pose artillery as soon as we're created in mid-coloration. Yeah. Comes with white. It's Cheon. That's the shield, I guess. Gundam bits can be displayed alongside the Gundam Calibarn using 2 sets of the Witch From Mercruy open display bases, which I have not built. Here's what it looks like without paint, supposedly. Other side we have Suletta's profile. A second-year student in the piloting Dora and Afasakasia School Technology who transferred from Mercury, having earned the title of Holder from winning duels. She leads a fulfilling life at school, while also working as an employee of Gundam Inc., all the while growing closer to Miorine and friends from school. I have to compare that to her bio on the other boxes. That seems a bit more, whatever. Anyway, front and back of Calibarn, Suletta's stock art, Witch From Mercruy poster, information about the show, and some cautionary information. No sad Pac-Man. Same box art. Same box art, just slightly zoomed in, zoomed out on each side. Alright, enough of the packaging. Put that to the side. Let's build the action base. Just pretty simple base. 2 stands, 2 arms. Nothing fancy. It's really meant for 30-minute missions kits, but it will work for Gundam. The reason we're doing the stand first is you don't want to do the stand last. That's just a recipe for trouble. It's literally two the same thing molded together. That makes sense. Okay, I expected it to be fancy. A, B, or C. Don't know what's going on here. Seems to be pretty straightforward. Just attach the beam arms. They've got a very particular way they fit together. Oof, a lot of resistance here, but that's what we want, because we've got another stand that does not hold up at all, so I'm fine with resistance. We need resistance. And then use piece 5. And then it just plugs into the stand using piece 4. Of course, this kit comes with a stand, so we don't really need this stand, but whatever. It'll be something. I'll use it for the other two. That's what I'll do with it. Because I had a stand for them that broke. So let's bring Ariel over here. Of course, I'm using your stand port. I say this could also be useful for figure standard kits, but all the ones I have come with stands already, so. Except for Machine Dramon, he does not, so whatever. Anyway, there's Ariel and her stand. Put the rifle in her hand just so she has somewhere to hold it. I'll just stick this bit in my pocket. I'm gonna forget about that, aren't I? Let's put it in the box. That's something. Got the option of building a grasper hand for 30-minute missions kits. 7, 6, and 9. I have no 30-minute missions. I've got some. Oh, maybe I can find something to do with it. I don't know. We'll just see. We'll just take out the bits. If I don't end up using them, that's fine. I don't have to use everything. What's it saying about using piece 3? Oh, different type of connection, I guess. And this. Okay, this is compatible with the other action bases. Okay. That's what this is. So you can use this mount on the other action base. That's clever, actually. Okay. There we go. All right. A bunch of optional parts I don't need right now. But let's build the other stand, and then we can get on with the main feature. Sorry I didn't do this last night. Sorry I was so late. I'm actually still having technical issues. My docking station, well, my dock broke, or is damaged. I don't know. The dock that I use to connect to my external monitors is not working. This is the second one that I have that has happened for me. My laptop, as it is, does not have, you know, HDMI out or anything. It only has USB-C and USB-A. The USB-C does work like a Thunderbolt, so it, you know, I've seen it carry a stream through a video dock, so I know that works. But anyway, working on just one monitor on my laptop screen here only, not, you know, exporting to a secondary monitor, so that's fun. I say fun in the most sarcastic way imaginable. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, I can see what I'm doing, and I'll put up some entertainment for myself in a little bit, but it's just annoying. I have to look into a better dock than these, you know, just plug and play USB ones that I've had. I spent all of today just going through some boxes, my, you know, S&P boxes, just trying to consolidate them down. Still trying to do just a great cleaning up, great trashing, organizing parts and stuff. It's a whole thing. So that's what I've been up to. That is all for that. Where's my trash can? There's my trash can. All right. Okay. Grab rebuild, put it over here. My standard adapter for rebuild is elsewhere. Okay, it's fine. I'll use the claw grip. That's what it's for. It's not just for 30 minutes after all. Will work just fine for Gunpla. lighter weight ones. Cozy that I had you. I bet this is not the best stand for this, or not the best attachment for this pose, but that's what I got. That's what I'm going to work with. So I can get something better. All right, and now for our main event. One. A, C, D, as well as the stand parts and the effect parts, also the permit bits, the beam saber. D1 and D2. E stickers. Oof. I knew there was a lot, but Jesus. I was prepared for this actually. The metallic green on the insides of the broom handle. Where is that bit? All of these. That's, yeah. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Goes in the gaps, I guess. Take a look at something. I guess it's got to go in the gaps because there's 2 per thing. Okay. Not trying panicking if it doesn't work out. I can just cover it in stickers. All right. Try full frame. There we go, that's better. Alrighty. Well, we gotta start with the legs first, and I probably will again. To me, it opens up to the legs, actually. You know what, let me be different. Let me start with the base. Because then I can attach it to the base as I build up. And we get some entertainment here.
Well, good day, gorgeous. How the devil's your face? My name, as all.
Let me pull this up so you can see what I'm building at, what I'm watching here. Watch parties, no.
Always is to you, and this is, as usual, Damn It Open. It's time to check some boxes. It's time to look at bots. Very little preamble today. No real news, nothing to catch up on. We're all caught up on giveaways, nothing to report. But I see no reason not to bang the heck on. Box 55, 1 Hanley Street, Nottingham, NG15BLUK. Just a couple for you today. We're going to keep it tight and brief, like my undies. And we'll begin with this handsome pack from Briximus. Keep it tight and brief, like my undies. We'll begin with this handsome pack from Briximus Prime over in the Americas. We're going to keep it swift today to try and stay regular on the channel. Well, not regular, but frequent. I'm on my grind, as they say. The whole YouTube Shorts thing has kind of changed the game. I feel like I'm a very late adopter for that one. I didn't get on board for ages because I couldn't figure out how to produce video portrait because it's not compatible with my software. But then, like, I eventually figured out I could just tilt my camera, produce the video sideways, and then correct it on my phone. Like, I'm so dumb. But yes, please go and check out my shorts. I'm having loads of fun doing that, and it feels like the old days, like doing small videos frequently. early, and I feel like they're turning out all right. Anyway, goth icon, that's me, all right. Oh, I see, it's Skywarp. We have a little fan art of Skywarp teleporting in to cause some trouble, as he tends to. Dear Few Warp, I've been watching your channel for a few years now. Nice. I've always wanted to send a package your way, but at the time the PO box was closed. I had to. I was like full up here, so we just had to have a couple of years off. But nothing feels so good as being back in business. Your channel and videos have helped me stay positive and to keep the good vibes rolling. That's what we do here. You were one of the main inspirations for my own YouTube channel, Briximus Prime. Cheeky plug, why not? Also, you would be pleased to hear I've been listening to Rouge Limb. Oh, mate, it's Rogue. R-O-G-U-E. I wouldn't mind if it was just like viewers getting it wrong, but it's promoters too. We've been Rouge Limb on like a couple of posters now, and it's really embarrassing. Glad you're enjoying it anyway, that's really nice. Little drawing of me on the drums there with Skywalk rocking out, love that. That is how most of our gigs go. Just one person losing his mind. I have a few questions. 1, what happened to HasLab Unicron? I sold it. 2, what are your thoughts on the upcoming TF video game? Well, great timing. I just did a video about the Reactivate toys. I'll get into it a bit there. Basically, I'm looking forward to it. I really want it to be good, but I feel like 1, I'm doubtful that it's going to come out at all, and 2, it's going to be one of these live service games with tons of microtransactions, and that's a huge turn off. But I'm open to it. We'll give it a look. I really want it to do well and be good, but I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah,
3, how long does your editing of videos take? Depends. Damn it open, like one of these, that they normally run about 20-25 minutes, but I usually have an hour plus of footage, at least 90 to 120 minutes. So that can take a couple of days to get down. Reviews as well, like the Reactivate review, that took 2 days. But shorts, I could do in an afternoon. Write them, shoot them, get them done in like 3 hours. It's amazing. It's so nice to have something I can do that doesn't have to take 10 days. 4, what is your favorite TF YouTube channel you personally watch? McFeely, honestly, it's tough to beat. I just like the sort of non-fiction presentation that he does. I actually don't watch many like toy review channels because I don't want to get like my opinion mishmashed with theirs before I produce a video and just wind up saying the same thing. So I generally don't watch that many toy reviews. But McFeely and the sort of more factual stuff, big fan of that. 5, opinion on power metal. My favorite band is Sabaton. Nice. Not really my style. I'm more sort of hardcore death metal these days, but a little bit occasionally goes a long way. I was a big fan of Unleash the Archers. Love that album they did, Abyss, but then they started using AI to write their songs, and it's like, forget it. Sabaton are all right though. Yeah, I get it. I get the appeal. Just turn that down. There we go. Get some shade on this Unicron drawing. That's tight. Good work, my man. All right, nice one, Briximus. Let's see what's in this here package. Comic books. Oh, yes, we have Cobra Commander. Image Comics. This is going to be the new shared universe comics that the Skyvan comics are in. I'm very much enjoying those. I'm up to like issue 4 of that, and it's really good so far. So this is a tie-in on that, and there's like Void Rivals as well. Can't I just read one title? You've always got to do 3 at the same time, ain't you? I'll definitely have a look at that. I'm still kind of lukewarm on G.I. Joe, but it's worth a go, innit? I respect that they're trying to do something. Oh, mate, it's the little Daniel figure that came with Buzzworthy Bumblebee, the little Scout class one that looks like Bumper, Daniel or Spike, and more likely to be Spike. I got that Bumblebee in the Optimus Prime 2-pack, so I didn't get this, and I wonder how it works. Is that it? Is it just that? I think it's just the butt flap. Goes from man to vehicle via the butt. Wild. Thank you. Oh, that's a handsome Shockwave. I recognize you. I think this is like Cyber Battalion Shockwave or Authentics. I can't tell the difference between those toy lines. Definitely seen this lad before, but I can't remember exactly how it works. Or I may not have ever known, but I do seem to be getting somewhere. Like, is that
it's
it? It's gotta be something like that. Sleepy time spaceship mode, kind of a gun, kind of a submarine. You know how it goes with Shockwave these days. He turns into a nothing. He's either a crab tank or just Shockwave having a nap. That's where we're at. That is a good looking Shockwave though, isn't it? Nice and basic and simple. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the last one, this is either gonna be Kingdom Mutant Tigertron, but I think it's just a knockoff cheapo tiger robot thing. Let's have a go. These all work the same. Yeah, I'm not sensing the Kingdom quality. Oh dear. That That's garbage. I bet I know what his head's gonna look like. Things of this sort of ilk, things of this genre, always have the same robot head. I bet it's got kind of sad eyes, a mouth plate, and like a little blue dome. If it's anything except the head that Bloodthirsty War Dolphin had, I'll be livid. Yeah, there he is. There's my guy. The very one. Shocker. Oh, oop. Come on. Like, the tiger head is quite good and sort of dreamy looking and very calm, but it's simply another one of this guy. Oh, you sad little wiener. Look how far that head comes out. It's kind of basically still a tiger. Oh, lads. Classic stuff. Thank you, Briximus Prime. Please do go check out the channel. Wonderful stuff. Thank you so much. Couple of bots, bit of light reading and some fan art. And without further ado, we bang on. Very handsome, tightly packed package here, same. Open through top. I was gonna. All set for April. Gonna try and bring that back for another round. Can't promise we'll stick to one a week, but I'll do my damnedest. It's the best part of my year. Anyway, who do we have and what it is? Photo of Optimus Prime. Dear Funicron, the pun bringer. Name's Dan, I'm an amateur cosplayer. Oh, is this you? I've been a fan and subscriber of your bringer. Name's Dan, I'm an amateur cosplayer. Oh, is this you? I've been a fan and subscriber of yours since your Fall of Cybertron Bruticus review. God, that was a while ago. It's always a joy watching you review toys, smash knockoffs, being a lovable goof, or any combination of the three. Those are the three things I do. Keep being your awesome, beautiful bearded self.
Okay,
so this, I guess, is one of Dan's cosplays, looking actually pretty tidy at MCM Comic Con, looks like. Nice, love to see it. I can't tell how much of this is just packaging. Let's dig in. Some kind of pole. This looks like a big Megatron thing. This appears to be some flavor of Optimus Prime. Ooh, look at that. Very War Within Dreamwave vibe on this. Mastermind Creations Optus Pro Minion. Whoa, that's sick. Look at this big chunky boy. Those are some of the heftiest wheels I've ever seen. Very sort of chunky and like standalone vehicle-y. I love that in an Optimus Prime. God damn it. I'm so annoyed about missing Link Optimus. It's so frustrating because what I want is just the cab of the Toy Colors one. Because you can get the Toy Colors one with the trailer or the cab on its own, but it's cartoon colors and it's not quite what I want, but it's like 40 quid less. It's just so annoying. I'm gonna hang on and see if they do a different variety or another run. If I'm gonna spend that kind of money on a toy, I want it to be at least the right colors that will make me happy. I could have pre-ordered either one and been slightly unhappy, but in the end I didn't get either, and now they're all sold out. So what the hell? Thanks a lot, Takara. Anyway, I'm gonna try and transform this thing. As a third-party masterpiece-esque item, I expect it's gonna be more than I can figure out on my own. I don't fancy getting Emgo up and making you watch me do that. Oh yeah, Emgo. I also watch Emgo because he's very handy for transformations. Bit of a shin splittage there. Looks intentional. I don't think I've wrecked it. That's how this is gonna go. I don't think I'm wrecking it. Oh yeah, no, that's a foot. We fold out a foot. That's quite clever, actually. Shift that down a bit. Yeah, oh, this is decent. So we pull the leg down, and then there's a little tendon in there that we flip into position and close the leg back up. Impressed. And I think we have legs. This might be achievable. Big seismic movement there in the rear. Oops. Oh dear. Snapped something off. Hopefully it'll go back in. Never know with these unofficial ones. Oh, Christ. Now that's not going back on. All right, we've got one waist chunk. The other one there's come off. And I can't get it back in. I'm souring on this very quickly. I don't feel safe enough for this to be interesting. Like, I don't know if I've broken it or if I'm gonna break it. I just, oh god, I don't even know what the robot mode looks like. Let me check. Mastermind Optus Prominion. Prominon.
What is all this pixels?
Alright, but where do the wheels go? God, I hate the kind of stalks that they use. Parts on poles. I don't know, man. I feel like I would like this, because it looks alright, but it's just trying to be too clever for its own good. That's the thing with a lot of these unofficial ones. They just try and like do a little more than is necessary, and the transformations are just a little bit too fiddly and the parts aren't great quality, so it becomes a battle. I'm not trying to be like, oh, Hasbro's better actually, but aren't they though? The more you try and do, the more likely you are to slip up somewhere, and that's precisely what's happened. Doesn't need individual knuckles. Come on. I want to give it credit because it looks alright, but it's a bit of a state, isn't it? Dan, thank you for sending this in. I love the opportunity to check this kind of stuff out, but this is a little bundle of stress you've given me here. Let's see if there's gear for him. Arm cannon, sword, little matrix blade there. That's pretty sick. Some kind of enormous gun. It's almost like Astro Train's gun, isn't it? It's just huge. All right, there we go. We have Optus Prominent. The ultimate knockoff name, isn't it? There he goes. He looks all right. He's got his big gun. There's a bunch more stuff. I think there's an axe and a great big sword there. That's not a bad attempt. Bit wibbly, bit sort of misguided for me. It doesn't quite feel finished, you know? It just feels a little scrappy around the edges, but they had a go and it ain't bad. I don't like it, but it ain't bad. Thank you, Dan. That's wonderful. Semi-wonderful. And we have another bag of gear here with a certain telltale faceplate in there. Can we identify who that is? Can we guess the toy from this bag of bits of Megatron? It's friggin' MP36, baby! I guess that explains the pole and the additional pole. Let's go! Let us go, gamers! Oh, he's a sexy lad. Handsome, furious Megatron. Yeah, that feels proper, mate. This is what we were all about. Give me that fusion cannon. Just clips tastily right there. Could it be more iconic? You know what? I do have my issues with the more cartoon accurate masterpieces. I didn't like Skywarp at all. I knew it was gonna be like that, and yet I bought it thinking there'd be something I like about it, and I don't. Duh! 200 quid in the fucking bin, innit? But for me, Megatron, that is more like it. This has a different energy all its own. It's just like the guy out of the cartoon who's gonna blow up the mine or whatever. That's him right here. And we can just slide in a different head. Ooh. Oh god, that's unnerving. That's the old mid-reformat moment with Unicron, isn't it? His little mouth. Anyway, we can just slide this straight in. There's no, like, nothing to unlock, no extra bits to lose. It just slots right in there. Rah! He-Man! That's such a 80s cartoon face. I love it. This is immediately so entertaining. God, I was very tempted, actually, speaking of cartoon color schemes, I was very tempted to get the Soundwave reissue, the 86 movie version, because it looks so pretty. But that was the day that I ended up getting Reactivate, Starscream and Bumblebee, and the Ninja Turtles. Much as the Soundwave looked good, it was just more repaints. They had him and Blaster and, like, Medics and some of the other legacy sort of redecos, and it's like, I'm alright, give me something new. Reactivate was perfect for that. Those things are so good and so interesting. They were fully refreshing and invigorating on a day that could have otherwise been about settling for repaints. In unprecedented moments, I'm going to attempt to transform this thing. Instructions. Thank you, Dan, for including this. I'd be lost without this. God, we're already 4 pages into the instruction booklet before we get to the transformation. Loads going off here. Right, flip up the back panel. Nice and easy. Flip down the weird vestigial gun barrel. Oh, we have the trigger. Trigger warning! Ah! Twist the chest panel and what? Push it in? Flip it out? Oh, we lift it up a bit. Yeah, there it goes. Arms do this. Fold out the armpits. Okay. Interesting. I can see why people like this. I still haven't had a go on the Plus version yet. I'm so terrified of ruining the Chrome. Years later, I'm still scared of it. So thank you, Dan. I actually get to be hands-on with this thing. This one's a bit more durable, and I feel safe in its presence. Spooch the arms down. Spooch. That's the actual word for when you do that. Tilt the whole thing forward. This is how you do a proper transformation. This is a properly thought-out, user-friendly transformation. Not to get on the third-party hate train too much, but those things always feel like they're trying to show you how clever they can be. Whereas here, I feel like I'm being shown a good time. God, this is nice. It even shows you where to put his thumb. That's wild. The way that nice articulated arm has so completely disappeared into a bit of gun. I'd hesitate to say fuselage. The gun, what, flips around? It does. Okay. Slightly awkward, but it does work. I hate that I know somebody's gonna have a crush on that. Very satisfying though, the way that all sort of locks in and this whole column sort of lines up and clicks together. Feet please, we fold this whole section out, swing it around. Tough to tell what's going on here. The illustrations are tiny and it's all in Japanese. I got no chance. So we split the shin armor and fold that in. That comes up and out. Flip that up out of that, and then back down, so that sort of collapses in from either side. Then I guess we slide that back up, fold the foot in. It's all making sense. And that's the trigger housing. I see. God, this is good. Those can chill there for now, but we have our handle, basically. Yank these down, smush it all together. We have handle and hammer illusion. Handle and hammer, that's what I'm going to call my spin-off gun channel. God, can you imagine? Butt flaps come down and outward. Rotate this whole business before we go any further. This makes so much sense once you're inside it. Like, from the outside, looking at the toy in either mode, like, there's no way that I can picture how you would get from one to the other. But now I'm witnessing it happen before my eyes. Starting to look like we're nearly there, gang. That is nuts. I'm blown away by this. Imagine a gun blowing me away. Don't. Guess we flick that up, get that in position, and then just close up these arms. And there it is, the big, ridiculous, oversized cartoon firearm. Excuse me while I secret agent this up. A cha-chink. Lock and load, gamers. Oh man, that's so good. Whoa. Dan, thank you. Thank you. Boo, boo, boo. Thanks very much. So impressed with that. That's amazing. Unbelievable. I've had the other version for like, what, 5 years and just still paralyzed by fear of going near it. So Dan, massively appreciate the cartoonier option. It's new to me still somehow. And that is a deeply impressive bit of engineering, bit of toy work. Transformers masterpiece, MP36 Megatron. We also have the instructions for Optum Promononon. So I don't feel like we've really given him a fair shout. I feel like I kind of breezed through that. So that might not really be a fair comparison, but this is honestly so much more my style. Oh, hello. And we are just about done, but I think it's time for a giveaway. I feel like this is going to be much better served in the hands of somebody else. It's really not my style, but it is pretty good, and it goes for like 100 quid, and I know there's Mastermind Creations fans out there, War Within fans, folks who are going to enjoy this more than I am. So, maybe that'll be you. If you follow these few simple steps, number 1, please subscribe to me on my channel, thank you very much. Number 2, send me an email to viewgiveaways@gmail.com, that's it, isn't it? And in the subject line, please just put MMC, as in Mastermind Creations, MMC, and then in the text, I would like you to think up the silliest Optimus Prime third-party name you can think of. Optus Prominent, come on. Yeah, something like that. Make up your own version of that. A legally distinct version of Optimus Prime that ain't Optimus Prime but sounds just enough like it that you might fool grandma. I'll pick a winner at random. This isn't a contest, it's just a giveaway. A bit of fun. Let's do this worldwide, and if you could get the answers in for me by the 7th of April, please, Sunday the 7th of April, before midnight GMT. 1 entry per person, please, and best of luck. And we'll get this lad to a more suitable home who will love him like he deserves. Nice bit of damn it open for you, so cheers very much to Dan and to Brixamus Prime. Please do check out the channel. Thank you very much. I shall be back with more bots before you know it. We've got April coming up. I'm going to stay on the shorts. We'll do some robots, yeah? Nice. Until that day, till all are sexy. Alright, feels good, baby. Thanks for watching. Cheers to all the patrons who support my daft endeavours. Couldn't and wouldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. Big shout out this time to Mac, whoever's username is Mac on my patron list. Thank you. Appreciate you. Take it easy.
Be sure to subscribe for more Thew's Awesome Transformers reviews. Limited appeal, keeping it real.
Damn it. There we go, okay.
So last week I was in Kyoto having a quiet stroll through the entertainment district of Gion, a stunning area where it's not uncommon to see kimono-clad geisha in their striking white makeup wandering up and down the streets. There's an authenticity to Gion, particularly on the south side, with its alleyways and wooden townhouses, a sense that it's remained unchanged for centuries, a rare thing for a Japanese city. That's why I love it. So imagine my horror when a few days after I left Kyoto, the city announced that it was taking the radical step to ban foreign tourists outright from the very place that I just been stumbling around. My initial thoughts were, my god, what did I do wrong? What did I do? Not again. But fortunately, turns out it was nothing I did, although the blame does indeed reside with foreign tourists. More specifically, foreign tourists treating geisha like costume characters in a theme park, getting up close, firing off selfies, touching their kimonos, and even, in some of the worst cases, pulling on their hair. I mean, things were already pretty bad, with signs plastered up the street reminding tourists of the 10,000 yen fine for taking photos without permission. But clearly that wasn't enough, leading to this very sad move that I think most people would kind of agree is completely understandable. Honestly, I think the solution is actually fairly simple. Dress up members of the Yakuza as geisha and have them walk around Gion in circles, waiting for unsuspecting tourists to pull on their hair. God forbid, that would certainly lead to some interesting results. But today I want to talk about this and some pretty worrying stories involving foreign tourists, because this isn't just a Kyoto problem. There's stories up and down Japan that might shock and surprise you. And it certainly doesn't help that there's been some highly publicised incidents involving foreign influencers doing unspeakably shitty things as well. But I'd like to think nobody here who watches these videos will ever grab a geisha's kimono or defile a sacred temple. I don't want to sit here and give you a stern, condescending lecture. I don't want it to feel like you've been summoned to the school principal's office for bad behaviour. Or maybe I do. Maybe I'm going to go mad with power. You know, it's funny when I chat to people about coming to Japan, there's so much fear. Fear about making a faux pas or screwing up the etiquette, because Japan does have a lot of rules and things that we're not accustomed to while you're here. But look, here's the thing. You really don't need to worry about putting a foot wrong here. Perhaps with the exception of not taking off your shoes and trampling all over a tatami mat floor. In which case you quite literally have to worry about putting a foot wrong. Apart from that, nobody here will ever get mad at you for making a simple, honest mistake. The sort of things you do need to worry about are all common sense things to avoid doing as a decent human being. Case in point, don't carve your fucking name into the bamboo trees of Kyoto's Arashiyama forest, as has happened with over 100 trees, often damaging them irreparably to the point that they have to be chopped down. Worse still, there's recently been some highly publicised cases of foreign tourists carving their names into temples and shrines. Just last year, a Canadian teenager admitted to scratching his name into the 1200-year-old Toshodaiji Temple in Nara, treating the UNESCO World Heritage Site as if it were a fucking whiteboard, using his fingernail to carve his name Julian into the wood. Defiling a culture. Shocking behaviour from a Canadian. You know, you never see behaviour like that from a British person. But if you graffiti a national treasure in Japan, you can go to prison for 5 years or get a fine of about 300,000 yen, $2,000. Fortunately though, if you feel like defacing a World Heritage Site or being an all-around prick, there is a hack for getting around it. At the same time Julian was scratching the letter J into a Japanese temple 6,000 miles away in Rome, Ivan was carving his and his girlfriend's name into the Roman Colosseum. Ivan plus Haley 23. Sounds like a fraught political campaign. Unsurprisingly, people weren't happy about this. But luckily, Ivan seemed to get out of it after he wrote a spectacular letter to the mayor of Rome containing what might be the best sentence ever written. It is with deep embarrassment that only after what regrettably happened did I learn of the antiquity of the monument. The antiquity of the monument. Yes, that's right. Ivan claimed that only after he'd finished scratching his name into a 2,000-year-old brick, only then did he realise that the Roman Colosseum might be of some historic importance. I mean, of course it's a monument of fucking antiquity. It's in Gladiator, for God's sake. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? I'll admit, I've never understood the thrill of carving one's name into a piece of wood. So, let's do it right here. Right now. Oh, and it wasn't the only temple that got defiled either. Just down the road, another ancient temple was the subject of graffiti by what can only be described as a shitty Banksy, this time in the form of a cat. My God, what the hell were they thinking? Yes, I understand now. The immeasurable sense of power, the self-worth. You tried to carve your name into the comment section, be immortalised forever. Actually, it's very stupid. Fuck it. God, I hate myself. But look, I think for every Japanese temple or bamboo tree that gets defiled, Natsuki should be allowed to carve his name into a historic relic or item from the offending nation.
Go fuck yourself.
Only then will justice truly be served. Now, some problems caused by foreign tourists are a bit less obvious and a bit more well-meaning. Case in point, recently one of Japan's most famous shrines, Itsukushima, was completely renovated down in Hiroshima, partly because it was old and decaying, and partly because tourists were shoving coins into the shrine itself, what they believed to be was good fortune, inadvertently damaging the shrine with ever larger cracks and turning it into some sort of massive crumbling Shinto piggy bank. Still, hopefully the hundreds of coins they were able to extract from the shrine could go towards its multi-million-dollar renovation. I mean, when they finished pulling all those coins out of the shrine, there must have been, you know, $10, $20. Yeah. But it's not uncommon to see news stories pop up about bad behaviour from foreign tourists. And one of the most bizarre posts that went viral on Twitter involved this sign in a convenience store emblazoned on the front of the steamed pork bun counter. A quick bit of essential Japanese knowledge.
Gaikokujin no or something.
Just the word kore means this, right? And when you order on a menu at a shop, you might point and go, kore shitotsu onegaishimasu. One of those, please, or, you know, kore wa pen desu. This is a pen. And so it's not uncommon to point at a steamed pork bun and go, kore shitotsu onegaishimasu. Yet this note reads, to foreign customers, don't say this one and point. Say, steamed bun, please. Now, there's two things I love about this. Number one, there's a drawing of what's presumably supposed to be a finger. And it looks anything like an actual finger.
It's like a
That's
penis.
not what you want to see drawn on the front of the steamed pork bun counter. Awful. And the second thing I love is that the sign is written in Japanese kanji characters while being aimed at foreign customers who probably aren't able to read it in the first place. Because, you know, odds are if you can speak Japanese, you probably will say, Bikuman onegaishimasu. Steamed pork bun, please. Clearly, somebody working at the convenience store has had a traumatic encounter and desperately needs to learn how to draw a finger. Meanwhile, in Hokkaido, the local government was criticised after making a booklet aimed at Chinese tourists that was labelled as condescending and offensive, with this incredible, fantastic drawing of a crying toilet covered in filth. Seriously, is there anything more worrying than a sentient toilet who's so technologically advanced its mood is determined by the state of its cleanliness? A frightening image of things to come. Toilets and pork buns aside, bad behaviour of foreign tourists does have real-world implications. A few years ago, one of my favourite temples down in Fukuoka, the Nanzuin Temple, home to one of the world's largest reclining Buddhas, took the drastic step of turning away groups of non-Japanese tourists after a bunch of raging dickheads splashed about in a sacred waterfall and climbed on the roof of the temple. The Nanzuin Temple is genuinely one of the most incredible temples that I've ever been to. And the idea of people turning up and disrespecting the temple by treating it like some kind of fucking bouncy castle is genuinely horrific. But again, their exasperation is completely understandable. But you understand why they're taking these measures. So what's the future look like for Japan in the face of mass tourism? It's important to remember that mass tourism is a relatively new concept here. As recently as 20 years ago, they had an average of about 5 to 6 million overseas tourists every year. This year, it's predicted to be 33 million. Japan has done such a good job maintaining its traditions and customs, ones that often feel very much at odds with the modern world, and it's what makes the country so profoundly rewarding to explore. And there's no doubt unchecked mass tourism, the kind that the country wants, does run the risk of degrading that magic, particularly in cities like Kyoto. Like I remember filming a video at a sacred mountain temple called Haguro in Yamagata, and at the time there was a lot of debate amongst the monks and the local practitioners at the idea of actually sharing it at all and encouraging tourists to visit and experience it. The moment you commercialise aspects of your culture like that is the moment you run the risk of degrading it. Fortunately, in that case, they kind of struck the right balance by limiting the number of people who could do the tour and using the income they derive from it to help keep those traditions alive. And Kyoto has absolutely benefited from the same thing, opening its doors to all its sacred temples and shrines, mostly without incident, without any problems. With this ban kicking off next month in April, I'll be sad next time I'm in Kyoto, knowing that one of my favourite areas to stroll around is now strictly off limits. And I sort of worry, where will it end? What other areas might get sort of shut down? Not just in Kyoto, but around Japan. But at the same time, if it helps preserve the city's identity, and more importantly helps geisha feel safe from ill-mannered idiots, then yeah, it's absolutely for the best. But what do you think, guys? Is banning tourists a step too far, or a necessary evil for preserving Kyoto? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, guys, as always, many thanks for watching. I'll see you right back here to do it again or abroad Japan. As for me, now I've discovered the simple thrills of graffiti. I'm going to go and carve a donkey into the wall. Nobody could stop me. I have no friends, and I hate myself. Oh.
So this is what constitutes as micro these days. The Game Boy Micro, the last member of the Game Boy lineage. An interesting one to go out on. This was during the reign of the Game Boy Advance, but also, you know, the end of the reign, because this was after the Nintendo DS launched. Nintendo showed a lot of, like, hesitancy with the DS, just the fact that the DS had an entire extra slot just for Game Boy Advance games. I think that was kind of their, you know, insurance card right there. Well, if the DS fails, you know, well, I mean, it's just part of the Game Boy line, you know, this wasn't our actual, like, successor to the Game Boy. No, not at all. I mean, you look back at that, how weird is that? How it's just like, oh yeah, it's backwards compatible with our previous system. We needed to put an entire extra damn slot on here just to make way for backwards compatibility, but it's backwards compatible. It's like it's backwards compatible with a line of systems that has a completely different name, branding, all of that stuff. You know, the compatibility with the Game Boy Advance felt very much like Nintendo wasn't sure that the DS would succeed, so they put that in there as kind of like just a, you know, just a way to make the failure sting a little less. Because that was their first dedicated handheld system that wasn't titled Game Boy, so this was a huge risk for them. But we all know that went down. The DS became literally Nintendo's best-selling handheld at the time, and the Game Boy had no more reason to exist. You know, with the Game Boy Advance, that kind of lasted a few extra years, but it was obvious the DS was the future. But Nintendo still tried a little something. Game Boy Micro released in 2005, and is generally considered one of Nintendo's not biggest failures, but you know, kind of like, you know, like it's a little bit of a mediocre failure. I've seen bigger. It sold around 2 to 3 million units, so you know, not like it didn't sell anything, but you know, it was a Game Boy system. These things were meant to sell 80 million units. I think it just kind of came down to the point and just overall value of owning one of these things. I mean, what was it? So the Game Boy Micro was basically a Game Boy Advance with a ton of features stripped out, smaller, no clamshell design from the Game Boy Advance SP, which proved to be very, very popular. This very much seemed to be kind of a hip, modern, fashionable variant of the Game Boy. Kind of a Game Boy that you'd be proud to whip out during lunch. I mean, comparing it to the Game Boy Advance SP, the Game Boy Advance SP is supposed to be incredibly compact, even, you know, especially when it's closed. This is how it's going to be in your pocket. And even when it's closed, like, the Game Boy Micro is so much smaller. I don't think it's much of a coincidence that this kind of came out around the time that the iPod Mini and iPod Nano were hitting the scene.
Not at all.
Nintendo's ad campaigns around this time, especially when the Wii launched, really did feel like they were kind of taking notes from Apple in terms of minimalism and just trying to be cool and, you know, marketable to the casual crowd. And this is something you can imagine, you know, like people playing in commercials like those old iPod commercials with the silhouettes on the colorful backgrounds. You know, this is what it felt like. And it definitely felt like that because this has interchangeable faceplates. You know, hey, express yourself. Well, this is me right here. So with the faceplates and the tininess of it all, this really felt like kind of like, oh, this is a Game Boy that you buy to be cool, rather than like, oh, here's the reason to buy it. Because let's be honest, what was the reason to buy it outside of just looking cool? The Game Boy Advance SP is always kind of seen as the definitive Game Boy Advance, or Game Boy in general, really. I mean, you have the clamshell design, which protects the screen. You have, you know, all the buttons you're going to need. A beautiful backlit display, which, you know, there are two models of the SP. One is the original that launched with, you know, kind of a lesser lit display, but this one is, you know, most people refer to these by the model number. Well, not most people, but either way, this one is X-EX01, which means it has an improved backlight. And yeah, this thing gets pretty bright. You have all these features, and then the ability to play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. The Game Boy Micro can only play Game Boy Advance games. I guess the ability to like play Game Boy and Game Boy Color really does just add to the size of this, because you know we try to fit this in. You know, I mean the cartridge physically can fit, but it does not, you know, connect. Which I at least think the ability to play original Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games would have at least added to just the functionality of this thing. The Nintendo DS and DS Lite could only play Game Boy Advance games as well, so, you know, if you were going to market this right alongside the DS and DS Lite, it's at least something where it's just like, okay, well, like, DS and DS Lite can only play Game Boy Advance games, at least the Game Boy Micro can play all Game Boy games in general. No, it can only really play Game Boy Advance games. And when you take the price of this thing into consideration compared to a DS, you know, there was no question what you should buy. This thing launched at $99.99. That's usually kind of an attractive price point for something that's supposed to be like, oh, budget, but kind of cool. But for only $50 more, the Nintendo DS. The DS launched at $150, and this was only $50 cheaper, and could only play Game Boy Advance games. While the DS had all these extra features, you know, internet connectivity, 2 screens, a touch screen, a microphone, straight up more buttons, bigger screens, and of course the ability to play Nintendo DS games, and also knowing that that system is going to be supported for a couple more years with, you know, brand new releases. The Game Boy Advance was, you know, kind of like older news at that point. Not saying that it wasn't selling, but more so it was obvious that it's just like, hey, you know, you could buy this system with not as many new games coming out for it, or you could just pay $50 more and get a Nintendo DS where you get all the Game Boy Advance.
Microphone test. Okay, that's working. Okay.
Advance games, and whatever new Game Boy Advance games are releasing, and all the DS games that are releasing. And then in addition, you know, they were still selling the Game Boy Advance SP. This itself launched for $100, like when it released in 2003. So by like 2005, when this was out for $100, like I don't know of the price of this right off a hand in 2005, but it was obviously less expensive than this. So it's obvious, like if you were gonna get a Game Boy Advance, you should have gotten the Game Boy Advance SP. And if you wanted to spend a little bit more money, you know, you could just save up a little bit more and just get a Nintendo DS. So I think that paints a pretty good picture as to why the Game Boy Micro failed in comparison to, you know, the Game Boy Advance SP and the Nintendo DS. It was just in kind of this weird area where it just didn't make much sense from a value proposition. It has less features than the Game Boy Advance SP, which was cheaper to buy, and it has less features than the Nintendo DS, which was only $50 more. So yeah, as a consumer, not much reason to buy this. As a Game Boy Advance aficionado, ooh, it's pretty cool. It's just one of the neatest things to play Game Boy Advance games on. Yeah, the screen is smaller than the Game Boy Advance SP and the original Game Boy Advance and DS, DS Lite, all of that, but because it's smaller, the games just look so crisp on it, and it has like the brightest screen of a Game Boy. And it goes even brighter.
Okay.
If you hold L and move the volume rocker up and down.
D46.
Yeah, it can get pretty damn bright. And you know what? I lied. It does have a feature the Game Boy Advance SP doesn't have. A headphone jack. I still don't get that. But here's another incredible annoyance with this thing. It has its own charging cable. You know, it does not use the Game Boy Advance SP's charging cable. No, it uses its own. In addition, where is the link cable port? Yep, that also requires its own adapter. It's not like you can't do it, it's more so that you just need a specific adapter to do it with the Game Boy Micro. So, you know, with all these extra little things, it obviously feels like the Game Boy Micro was kind of designed in a vacuum. Like, you know, hey, this isn't supposed to be a replacement or just like a successor to the Game Boy Advance SP. Rather, just something for people who just want to play a couple Game Boy Advance games and play them in style. But a lot of things just ended up being kind of a nuisance. Like, it's just like, yeah, it's really cool and it looks really slick. Like, this is genuinely a great design. But at what cost, man? The faceplates are really cool, and the front comes off incredibly easy, which is something I cannot say about changing faceplates on the new Nintendo 3DS. Damn, Nintendo's just not the same anymore. The buttons have a great feel to them. They're small, but they're not too small at all. I think the main problem would be the shoulder buttons, but even then, I do kind of feel like the shoulder buttons are not that uncomfortable. I honestly kind of prefer something like this in comparison to the Game Boy Advance SP. You know, kind of having your hands just kind of crunched in together like this, you know, because of just how compact the overall, like, length of the Game Boy Advance SP is. You know, just kind of holding it like this. It's not my favorite thing. This just having a bit more of a longer form factor, I don't know, it feels a little better. But, you know, the shoulder buttons themselves do feel like they take a little more effort to push, though. And I haven't even mentioned the best version of the Game Boy Advance SP, the Famicom Special Edition. This was released for the anniversary of, you know, the Japanese version of the NES, released in 1983. And this is based on the controller of the device, which was this golden, just, like, shiny thing that just looks gorgeous. I find it really interesting because this version was released in North America, which feels odd to me considering it's kind of like, well, this is based on a Japanese controller design. Like, what does the design mean to most consumers in 2005? But it is such an awesome version of the Game Boy Micro, and yeah, you know, it is a faceplate, so you know you could swap this on the regular Game Boy Micro. I don't know why you would, because it's just like this version still has the burgundy ass design on the back. That just wouldn't make any sense on here. And playing games on the Game Boy Micro just feels cool. Like, it is just a different feeling experience. It kind of feels like you're playing the games in a new light. And I think that's where the value comes in with the Game Boy Micro. It feels like such a unique experience. It's a really fun way to play those Game Boy Advance classics. I just wish they kind of had more of a reason for this thing to exist other than just kind of being like the iPod Nano of the Game Boy line. The Game Boy Advance library is so vast, I'm sure Nintendo kind of thought it's like, oh, well, we'll just have this like kind of hip version of it, and you know, you just throw this in your pocket with a couple of games and boom, you're golden. But you know, that obviously wasn't gonna happen. You know, you were either gonna get this or a DS. In the end, I feel like the Game Boy Micro was a really cool just thing. But that's all it really was. I think if you have a big Game Boy Advance collection, or you're just nostalgic for the Game Boy Advance era, I think this is a really fun thing to buy and collect and all that stuff, and you know, kind of as a secondary Game Boy Advance. As much as I think the Game Boy Advance SP is the definitive model of the Game Boy Advance, you know, like, the games look more fun on a Game Boy Micro screen. That screen is so much smaller, which means, you know, hey, some games may not work as great for it, you know, games with a lot of tinier text, but overall, like, I just feel like it's more fun to play those games on a Game Boy Micro screen. So, damn it, I salute you, Game Boy Micro, and the void you left in Nintendo's heart.
Alright, I'm gonna switch over to some some entertainment just for me. Because I need to catch up on OG Kamen Rider, which I have been slacking on. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 episodes to get caught up. So yeah, I'm gonna mute the thing so I don't get, you know, copyright struck. I apologize, but no one is watching this anyway, so. I will. If you are tuning in, feel free to comment. I will get the notification and be happy to, you know, happy to just unmute myself and talk for a bit. Just gonna unmute myself here for a minute just to talk about my progress. As you can see, I've built one leg, working under the leg. I might call it a night there. I don't know. Let's see. How long have I been on? Hour and 40. Yeah, I can keep going. I'll keep going. It's like if I build the torso, I might as well build the rest. I might stop before I build the gun. I don't know. I think I'll build the torso and the head, and then stop and build the arms and the gun next time. That might be my plan. And the shield. But yeah, we'll see how far I get. Let's go to the permit sticker to apply here. It's on the chest. This is going to be a bit of a delicate operation. So I need all the concentration I can get. It's kind of the focal point of the entire suit. Success. Okay. Good job, me. So I have a choice between green eyes or red eyes, and I believe that has to do with what happened in the show. I do not remember what color they were in the show. Let me pull that up. Actually, let's do this way. Green eyes. Okay, green eyes. Green eyes it is. I'm 50-50 on calling it here or not. I mean, I'm most of the way through. It's the arms, the gun, and the shield left. Let me see what I got. The arms are usually pretty straightforward. Yeah, that's going to be the case again here. Piece of permit on the shoulders I don't want to deal with. I'll call it for now, and I will be back, I don't know, maybe Monday. I think is what I'll do, a model kit Monday to finish this off, rather than waiting until next Saturday, because I do want to get on with other projects. What's next on the queue? Let me see what's next on the roster here. So here it is so far. Give me just a minute. I'm going to see what else is on the queue. Obviously, the Blade Legger. Not as much as I thought. Things I have on hand. Believe Blade Liger is the oldest. So I guess that'll be my next project. So Blade Liger, and then after that, Kamen Rider Kuga, Dragon Form. I still have the Real Great Epion to contend with. Psycho Gundam. I've got some potentially some rebuilds of some SMP kits. Muteki Shogun, Galaxy Mega, Delta Mega. We'll see about those. Let me think outside of that. Probably not much. Well, no, we've got stuff that's being shipped. Stuff that needs to be shipped. I certainly got enough to last me. I think I've got stuff being shipped right now. I forget. If I don't have stuff being currently shipped, then I certainly have stuff that I can ship. So. But yeah, that'll be what's coming up next. Next project will be the Blade Liger, probably next Friday, starting next Friday. That's gonna be definitely gonna be a multi-week hit. The Geno Breaker took me 4 sessions, I think. So Blade Liger should take 3 or 4 as well. It's just as big, a little more complicated. Maybe not more complicated, but about as complicated. It's a big, hefty boy. So Blade Liger next. That'll probably last me at least halfway through April, if not all of April. Then I guess I'll do the next Kuga. I keep saying I'm going to save Real Great Epion for after, until I've seen Wing. I haven't touched Wing. I haven't touched any Gundam in a bit, so I might just build it without having seen the show. We'll just have to figure that out. Oh, yes, I think that'll be my anniversary project for finishing. For making it for like 1 year and starting officially 1 year of building Gunpla, basically. Is what that'll be. I'll have to figure out when that date is. So that'll be when I build Epion, anniversary of me building the Wing Zero. Bandai just announced the real grade Gundam, RX-78 version 2.0. So I will get that when that comes out. That'll be my 3rd real grade, I guess. I've considered getting the real grade God Gundam. Maybe I still will someday. I don't know. There's not a whole lot in real grade that really interests me. I want to build more real grades, but I don't know any of the stuff. So I don't know. I'll take another look at the I'll take another look at the real grade lineup and figure out what I want to do. From that, aside from what I've got, I do have the Psycho Gundam. That'll take quite a few days to build. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm just rambling at this point. There is stuff to be built. Plenty of stuff to be built. I've got more SMP kits on the way. Wand Tiger should be coming. If I stuck that in order with something, I'll have to double check. But yeah, a lot of stuff in the pipeline. I'm not running short on things to build. I'll grab the last Kuga form when I can. But speaking of Kuga, they just revealed the Ultimate Form kit. So of course I'm gonna get that. So I want to figure out if I want to get separate kits for each rising and standard form. Expensive endeavor if I do. But that's what's happening in the world of Comrader. Speaking of which, I haven't finished detailing my Titan form. Anyway, I'm rambling. Cool stuff coming up. Next week is... Model Kit Monday. I'll finish this off. Free Build Friday, starting the Blade Liger. After that, stuff. Thank you for coming out. I'll be back on Monday. Put the right thing here. I'll be back on Monday with the Blade Liger. Thank you for coming.